anything you look at, you can get to know more about it. And we feel that that's what our interpretation of bridging the digital and the physical world means. And some of you know it as augmented reality, but we'll cover that in a second. So some stats that we were a very local British company, as mentioned, started out of a drinking joke in a pub in England. And when we started, we didn't have any sort of global ambitions. You know, we like two friends casually having fun and starting a business like you do, without realizing that what we have invented has tremendous impact in almost every industry moving forward, and also very global. So initially started in Britain, and today we are based out of Mountain View in California, in Los Angeles, in New York, in London, in Singapore, in Bangalore and Delhi. We've grown really global in a short amount of time, in just over five and a half years. And our approach, and of course we made several mistakes along the way like you do, but our approach definitely was what we learned, and I'm here to share that with you, that you have to think about the addressable market and its challenges and your customers, all aspects of it really locally. Because though technology is a big equalizer, and the world is still very different when it comes to local culture. So hence the word globalization, which is really coming into prominence. And you can read the definition is, whenever you produce goods and services for a market, how can you really cater it and learn from the local audience? This slide almost sounds like a HSBC advert, but what we are trying to say here is, whatever your ambitions are as an individual, and I don't know if they're entrepreneurs or wanting to be entrepreneurs, aspirational entrepreneurs in the room, you cannot have one size fits all strategy. Cheesy line, think global, act local. Often, particularly for technology industries, the word disruptor is often used, and in a misinterpreted way. And for definition purposes, you know, a lot of things in the world which are progressing is innovation, but it's not necessarily disruption. The word disruption truly means that whatever you're creating, either someone is doing it better or someone is doing it cheaper. But for companies like even Google was not a disruptor in terms of distribution of information. Actually, the disruptive model of Google was its ad-based engine. You know, you could search for something, and when the ad got delivered to you, that disruption in the media is what made Google money. And even things like companies like Apple, where you, when you think of the invention of the iPhone, you might think that was a really disruptive product. There were a lot of products like iPhone, and some before, some after. What was really disruptive about it was the actual invention of the App Store. That's what really made the difference, and often the word disruption is misused in any way. But in our context, when we invented this computer vision and AR platform, how we were presenting to existing ecosystem locally was, we were telling the world that in traditional media mix, a lot of people think television is media, outdoor is media, press is media, internet is media. But we were saying that we don't disagree. Those are very prominent media channels. But we were saying, and this is where we were disrupting, is the biggest media channel in the world is products. And many of us don't think of it as a media channel. Like, think of Mercedes-Benz. The biggest showroom of Mercedes-Benz in the world is on the streets, not in the showroom itself, or not on the internet. When you see a car, that triggers your curiosity in your mind, and that becomes a media channel. The biggest media channel of Coca-Cola as a brand is when you're holding that Coke can in your hand. There are more Coke cans or Pepsi cans in circulation in India today than probably newspapers. So this is where disruptive thinking came, and we applied this thinking locally, very different in different markets. So in India, our approach was we went to a lot of the large-scale traditional print publication houses, and we told them that your ad or your story, it's a print story, and though you can read it or you can see a physical piece of ad in a paper, but there is nothing digital going on. You cannot take an action on top of it. So with computer vision and augmented reality, you can make that ad come to life, and that's how you have to cater to strengths and weaknesses of any given local market. Another area to think about what changes you must do in your organization when you're building a local business. I think whatever you do, you got to keep in mind that values should never be compromised. And there are a lot of international business, and to give examples like whether it's Starbucks or McDonald's or Amazon entering India, all these businesses are disruptive. All those businesses are innovative, but no matter what they do in a local market, they hold on to some of their core values. And values can be interpreted in many ways, right? So for Google, net neutrality is a value, and showing page rankings of results irrespective of in a given country's laws. And based on that very value, they walked out of the Chinese market because it was compromising with their values. Same way for Amazon, on-time delivery is a value. For McDonald's, serving food within like 120 seconds is a value. And you always have to, whichever market you're expanding into, you have to keep a balance of local innovation and yet adhere to some of your core values as an organization. So one more thing is when you're expanding a business from a global perspective is communications. How do you market? And again, these are one of the challenges we've had. How we've marketed our technology or our platform in US have been substantially different to what we did in Europe and how we did it in Asia because of cultural differences, communication differences, understanding differences of all these different mediums. And last but really not the least is talent. One of the things you can never underestimate, and very specifically in a technology business which is very human intellect, human capital intensive, is whoever you hire as your first hire in a given market is really going to be the core representation of your business's DNA. And we took a lot of effort initially hiring our India head, like almost 6 months. We took almost 11 months to hire our US head, and they've all been like significantly good hires because end of the day, as an entrepreneur, you cannot truly run the business globally by being at our local places. You need to trust your key people to deliver it for you. And I would say this is one area, if you get it right, everything else automatically falls in place. Your communications falls in place, your strategy falls in place, your market positioning falls in place. But there's another area, if you get it wrong, it takes years sometimes to recover from it. So this very neatly segues into the last half of my presentation, which technology itself is a very big aspect of globalization. If you think about what truly connects us from different parts of the world today, and the world really becoming a smaller place, is technology. And in that very technology, one aspect I'd like to allude to you is where we are going. You're hearing the keyword artificial intelligence, augmented reality, and computer vision, and VR, and AR, all these phrases so much. I'd like to throw some light on it. Since I'm here, might as well make use of it. For definition purposes, what augmented reality means is you need to have reality. The computer's camera, and that's any camera, your phone's camera, your television's camera, your desktop's camera, any computer's camera, when it sees the world, if it adds a layer of information on top of it, connected to what it's seeing is augmented reality. And virtual reality, often a lot of people are using it synonymously with AR, and that's incorrect. Virtual reality almost has no connection with your immediate reality. I could be sitting in this room and taking a walk in Rome right now. It's nothing to do with this banquet-like setup, right? But augmented reality would be that if I look into this room, something related to this setup really comes to life. And as an addressable market, this is really big, already anticipated to be over like $120 billion by 2020. And major announcements, if you're following the tech news this year, has been made from companies like Facebook, Microsoft, Apple. It's truly a technology which will impact our lives one way or other. But more important point to note here, the phrase in augmented reality is not the word augmented. Augmentation is relatively easy as a science. The more important or challenging word is reality. It's very difficult for computers to understand reality yet, and I'll demonstrate to you in a second. But we are getting there, and artificial intelligence is maturing. You're already seeing aspects of natural language translation when you're using products like Cortana, Siri, or Google Assistant. So much investment dollars and so much marketing has gone behind it, yet you don't use it on a day-to-day basis because AI is improving, but it's not reached to the point where you can use it every day. It doesn't get your accent, or it doesn't understand all the words you're saying. And same is with computer vision, that today it's reached a point where it is beginning to really see things like a human being, but it still doesn't have deep understanding. We are phenomenal creatures. We often underappreciate ourselves. When computers are trying to be us, it's hard, but at the same time, it's getting there. So without any further delay, why don't I showcase to you some aspects of our technology so that you have some idea. Everything I'm saying is just not theoretical. This is all happening. And if I could have my bag, please. Sorry, I was carrying a bag with me. I think it's over this chair over there. It's a canvas bag. Sorry, one on the left. Literally left of the lady over there. Yeah. No, it's on the table. Yeah. No, that bag. Yes, thank you. I couldn't carry the world with me, so I have to bring some props. And could we move on to the demo screen? So, thank you. Bear with me. I think if we could have the lights switched on, because what I'll see, the computer will see as well, and it needs to see. Yeah, thank you. So I'm going to switch on this application, and what you'll notice is the first interpretation of a computer seeing real time. Nothing is stored because I've never seen this image before, and trying to depict what it's seeing. So please start noticing the words that appear in the screen, and it's 100% real time. And keep in mind that the connection here is really slow. So it thinks there's a recreation, there's a party going on, there's a crowd, there's a banquet, and if a generic person was looking at the same scene without really knowing the details of the event, it would have described it literally the same way. So anything you point this system at, literally anywhere in the world, whether you're in a jungle or in a traffic, or you look at any food, it would be able to describe. And you guys look really cool, so it, for a moment, thought it's a nightclub as well. So, and now I'll go down to like some specific things, because that's when you truly appreciate the value of this invention. So I brought today's newspaper, which I just collected outside, and I can show you the date. It's July 18th, right? July 18th, Hindustan Times. So we've got few people here in front of it, and this is first demonstration of same technology now recognizing people. It can recognize an environment, it can recognize cars, it can recognize food, it can recognize fruits, but it can also recognize people. So, and you'll see again, this picture is not indexed on our system, because this is today's newspaper. What just happened is it recognized Shah Rukh Khan as you recognize Shah Rukh Khan, right? You haven't seen this photo of Shah Rukh Khan before, but you know that's Shah Rukh Khan on the screen. So literally by looking, this is a very machine learning based recognition where it can recognize like every person ever. Again, it gets it. That's Nawazuddin Siddiqui, as you can see. And I can literally point at like every person that the system would see. Again, that was Priyanka Chopra, and that's Anil Kapoor. All these photos are, just don't confuse that with image recognition. This is a real-time camera, just like a human being. And whatever you point to it, it'll start recognizing and give you content. But now, if you want to know more about, let's say, Anil Kapoor, you see a lot of trivia-based information. When he was born, and he's also famous for Slumdog Millionaire. But I want to show you again something else. It's called Knowledge Graph. So this is Anil Kapoor's information DNA. And this is also generated by AI engines on its own. This is not human curated. So today we have 5 billion facts and 43 million entities about everything in the world. Every car, every brand, every building, literally everything. The world is a very big place, every flower. And of course, I cannot carry all these things with me, and I have to do this demonstration in a very finite environment. But try it for yourself. When you see someone famous on magazine, if Anil Kapoor or Shah Rukh Khan was in this room, it'll recognize them in reality. This has nothing to do with photos. We're just using photos as an example from today's newspaper. I want to show you a couple of other things here. So what happens when world's leading brands use this technology? So this is an example of a campaign using the same technology with a product called Nature Valley, and it's based on the new Spider-Man movie, which just came out, I think, day before yesterday. You look at this product and it recognizes that very same piece of packaging, and immediately in three-dimensional space, that content starts appearing out of that packaging. And now if you can, they say that on the packaging there is actually a game for kids, and naturally it's a Spider-Man entity, and you'll see in a moment what happens. So the recognition is happening out of AI, and the visual experience is what you know as augmented reality. So it's a game. Please ignore the layout because we've got the whole landscape issue going on here. But you can see immediately in this room, from that very packaging, the whole Spider-Man scene has come out in 3D, and you can see yourself in the background as well. And you can make Spider-Man attack that character. And I'm playing that game. You're not able to see what I'm doing here. But literally something as dull as this product packaging can literally become a storytelling tool. Some more examples. Here's another one with a very famous brand called Star Wars, as you guys know. And this whole Star Wars logo opens up in three-dimensional space. You can see like literally the details of the spaceship. And now it says that you can join the rebellion army, and this whole banquet is going to turn into like a war place now in any second. So if you join the rebellion army, you have to choose a side, and the troopers are going to attack you any second. And these spaceships are flying in this room, literally. So this is what augmented reality means. It takes your reality and it converts into an instantaneous interactive experience. And then you come out of it, and it's back to visual browsing again. So you understand the story. It's just one magic camera which can recognize flowers, which can recognize things, yet it can give you like incredible experiences from the physical world. Hope you enjoyed it, and thank you very much. Yeah, I'm happy to. Sure.
What we're going to do is we're going to open the floor for one or two questions, if any. So we'll take quick questions. I believe you have a question, sir. Let's have the mic passed on. And please introduce yourself.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Sharan. I just quickly wanted to ask, how is this different from the Google Lens or the Google Glass?
So,
Glass was 2010, Lens, they came out recently.
First of all, no two products are the same, right? A Tesla is a car and a Peugeot is a car too. Both are mobility vehicles. So in our stack, technology stack, there are three layers. One is understanding of the world, which is similar to Google Lens, right? But what Google Lens doesn't do is add an area of visual experiences. So on the same stack, we've built a CMS system, which everybody in this room can go to a website, sign up, and start creating all these things yourself, even like a 10-year-old kid. It's a completely drag and drop interface. And then the last thing is publishing. You can publish this experience in your own app, on your website, inside Blipper. So we are literally a full stack augmented reality solution, which is heavily emphasizing on understanding of the world, which is the reality, and also augmenting of it. And what Google Lens is doing is really extending Google's search position, and I would say on the recognition area, I would consider them as a competitor.
Hello sir, it's amazing. I just used the app and I wanted to ask what exactly is the limitations you're facing in this field, augmented reality? What are the limitations that exist as of now, and you see that after 5 years or 10 years,
Okay.
they won't be there?
That's a good question. So first of all, augmented reality is going to take off in a big way. And a lot of the pundits said that it's going to happen when glasses take off. Actually, no. The mainstream adoption of AR will happen through your phones. And think about your phones are like around 10 billion cameras around the world. And holding of the camera has become a most native human behavior. In fact, the phone is more here today than here. You know, people are always self-obsessed, taking pictures all day. So that won't be a friction. What is literally single biggest blocking factor is for augmented reality to scale, two things needs to improve really. One is the geometric side, so that computers understand location very precisely. Like if I want, I can literally have, I don't know, like a 3D model of someone dancing inside the glass you're holding, like that level of precision. And secondly, understanding of the world is what I showcased. Is if computers don't understand reality, you cannot scale augmentation. So there are two different strands, and what companies like Facebook and Apple are doing, they're really focusing on the geometric side, where of understanding of spaces and shapes. What we are focused on is understanding on the semantic side of AI, where we want to truly understand the world like a human does and give access to everybody in the world to create content on top of it. So unless we overcome these two areas, I'm really not worried about the hardware side of things, because I think we have sufficient hardware to visually show people really rich experiences. What really requires is a lot more server-side computation is what I demonstrated today.
All right then. Well, ladies and gentlemen, with that we'll have to call it a wrap. My apologies, sir, but we'll have to call it a wrap to the session as we're running out of time. I'm going to request you to please remain on the stage, and I'm going to invite Ms. Punita Kapoor, the Assistant Editor of Entrepreneur Media, to please come on stage and present a token of gratitude. And can we have a huge round of applause one more time there for that very enriching session indeed. So, Ms. Amrish will be around, so in case any further queries from our members of the audience, you may please feel free to connect with him. And with that, we'll also get started with